Welcome to the Orlando Sentinel's editorial board interview with candidates for the Republican primary in Florida's 10th Congressional District, an Orange County district that includes a big part of downtown Orlando, but that also reaches all the way over to UCF. Our candidates today are Willie Montague, a longtime community advocate who runs the House of Timothy, a program for at-risk young men, and Tuan, who is an aerospace engineer, cybersecurity expert, and entrepreneur, and founder of a mentorship program. The winner of this race will face the winner of the Democratic primary, where two challengers are facing off against incumbent Maxwell Frost. And before we get started, I wanted to explain the format we're using. We have a list of questions that touch on pressing issues for District 10 residents, but this isn't a debate. We're asked that the candidates address their answers to the board and not crosstalk or attempt to follow up, and both of them have very graciously agreed. With that, I'm going to start with the first question. A majority of Americans in both major parties see the economy as the #1 issue and say that they trust the Republicans more than they do the Democrats on this issue. And Mr. Montague, I want to start with you on that one, but then I want to ask you, once you're done answering, to mute your microphone and say it to you, Mr. Lee, so that we are getting a little bleed through and noise. So let's start with you, Mr. Montague. Talk to us about the economy and why people tend to trust Republicans more.
Well, I mean, we have had the opportunity to have the term conservative attached to the Republican Party, which means that there is something that we are conserving. I have mentioned this everywhere I've gone, and the #1 issue that I'm hearing, whether it is a Republican or a Democrat or anything in between, is that there is an economic decline in the United States of America, and that is what is important to the American people. And quite honestly, right now we're down into District 10. That is what is important to District 10. Here in the Pine Hills area, I work with a lot of organizations. I work with a lot of churches. I work with those who are single parents. And, they're struggling to provide for their homes. They're struggling to provide for their children and making sure that there's adequate meals on the table, making sure they have the uniforms necessary. School is coming back, and they're making sure that they have the money in their pockets to do so. I believe that people trust the Republican Party because we are the one that is loud and proud, speaking about there being a balanced budget, making sure that the money is allocated back to the American people's hands, not to foreign countries, and making sure that overall that we're not being taxed to death, so that we're able to actually provide adequate sustainability for everyone that lives in the United States of America that are citizens. As again, narrowing back down to District 10, it is obvious that the people are in need here in this district. And we need to be able to make sure that there's a balanced budget and that we have the funds necessary to take care of those most vulnerable, which is our elderly, and especially those single parent homes.
Mr. Lee, same question for you.
Okay, so business is what I've been doing for my whole life. When I first come to US, I live in Pine Hill. I'm picking up a trash at the age of 13 and 12 and 13 and sell stuff in the yard sale in the flea market. I fix stuff in the flea market, and I started my business when I was still in high school. And then business is something that I really want to do, and that's the reason why I'm jumping to this race, because American economic is going downhill really bad. And I had my MBA as trader of business management. So I've been working with multiple different format of business, from aerospace to cybersecurity and then restaurant and hospitality. So I'm work from the bottom up, from picking up trash, fixing recycled stuff, all the way to high tech. So I know what to do to bring the economic back. I know what to do to help Americans to success, because business is small business is the American backbone, but the small business has been phased away. And American is not a country of manufacture anymore. American is country of service right now. I don't want that to happen. I want an economic and restart again. And we have my platform is we have to redo regulation and bring the manufacturer back get out of China, bring it back to US, and we start to manufacture, and then we cannot depend on our enemy right now for economic. We cannot depend on any other company for supply and food and anything that China has been doing right now is our job. It's American job. So we have to bring it back. So business is my skill set, and that's what I've been doing for my was leader until now. So I think business is very important for our country right now, and I want to motivate that.
Thank you. I have a quick follow-up. One of the biggest issues that's cited by people who lack faith in America's economic recovery are the increasing consumer costs, everything from housing, fuel, insurance, down to consumer goods, TVs and fish sandwiches. Everything seems to be going up in price. What steps should Congress take to give families a break, and particularly with housing, which remains a massive challenge in District 10? Let's start with Mr. Lee.
Okay, so I'm also invest into property, small house, big house. So I know how to balance this because I have employees working in a restaurant and I have employees working in the construction field. So it's really tough for a working class right now, and I used to be one of them too. So the balance is we have to get the back to American manufacture, and then we manufacture a product here in the U.S. and that is how we control the price. Because right now is we depend in other country for the pricing and the products. So for housing, I have so many solutions that we can build house with about 100,000. Like an actual house. I'm not talking about mobile home or any kind of like RV or thing like that. It's an actual home, and I have a technology that how to build concrete set to a house for 100,000, and it's happenable. You can make it happen, and I make my promise on that, and I have a solution for that. And then when we redo the regulation, that means we give a chance to American to start business and small business to grow. When small business to grow and manufacture come back, the labor rate will automatic increase by the small business and company, because at the time they will need worker. So that is how we bring our economic back. We cannot depend on government for supply any kind of money, but we have to have a small business and start a company to develop the economic. And that is my strategy, that I have the solution from bring the business back to America, and I have solution to make house that affordable 100,000. And I have that technology with me right now too.
Mr. Montague.
So I want to, just for clarity's sake, that as it was mentioned in the beginning when we started, so I have a background in entrepreneurship. In my first part, I started my first business when I was 16 years old. And I train and help develop entrepreneurs. And we work with real estate investors. We work with individuals who work in the community and see the housing crisis. I just spoke at an HBA that had about 300 builders and developers and people who are concerned about the market. And so I would say this, that we have a local, we have a state and a federal level of government. There are some things that absolutely have nothing to do with the federal level of government, but we do have the resources that needs to be handed to the local and state. And that is making sure that we do not have regulations that are stopping our local municipalities and our state level of government from being able to do their jobs, to make sure that we have adequate, as you mentioned about consumer, you mentioned about the houses. It's not just the housing, but just going to get a sandwich at McDonald's, even it's costing way more than what it used to. And just going to try to get a carton of eggs is no longer just a dollar for a dozen. And so those are issues that we have to look down to make sure that from a federal level that there are resources and that the tools are used properly, and making sure that there's no red tape stopping the local and local municipalities and the state government from being able to do what they need to do. But most of it in the hands of the federal government is just, again, making sure that we're doing our job in Congress to make sure that there's no bills that is causing an issue and stopping the American people from getting more food in their pantries, more gas in their tanks, and more money in their pockets.
Thank you. So defense spending currently takes up a little more than 13% of the federal budget. Is that excessive, not enough, or about right? And I'll start with Mr. Montague.
I believe that we need to, if this is in referencing to our military, I believe that we absolutely have to have a strong military. We are known as a country to be a strong, rooted, and grounded country. And right now, by the looks at it, there are other nations who are, I believe, are just laughing at the United States because of the lack of leadership that we have in the current administration. So I believe that where the budget is and where it is, I believe that Congress that helped pass the budget, which we have a lot of great, like Representative Corey Mills. He is on these committees, and I'm pretty sure that if he had an issue with the budget in the defense area, he would have definitely raised some concerns. So I think we're where we need to be with that, and we do have people who are veterans and that serve from the Republican and I believe from the Democrat side that understand the necessity of having a strong defense.
Thank you, Mr. Lee.
I had a look on the defense budgets in a little bit and how Americans spend on the money for military and other research. I think it's better that we can increase a little bit more because right now we have to deal with China. That's a big threat to us and cybersecurity. And on top of that, China has been stolen our military technology. They've stolen our jet fighter and the tank and all stuff like that. So we have to spend more money to make sure our military is safe to go into anywhere and then safely come back. Because now, if we put back to economic, if we bring the manufacturer back to US, we bring the business back to US. So that is the good thing that we can have better money. I'm not talking about percentage because it depends on how much money American have. So I say the dollar that American put in for military, we need to spend more on for military to make sure American is safe. Our soldier is safe to be there, and our soldiers stay strong worldwide. Percentage, it doesn't mean anything much because of $1 million on 15%, or you're talking about 1 billion on 15%. So in my belief, if we bring money and bring a manufacturer back to America, we have more income. American people make more money on economic, and we have to spend more money for the military, including NASA and other research and different brands to make sure our country is safe. So for me, I'm not talking about, I'm not worried about the percentage. I'm worried about the dollar that we put in. So but I think the dollar we put in, we have to be a little bit more to make sure our country is more safe. And the best way to do that is we have to redo regulation, bring the business back to America, and support our military. Doesn't matter what.
Thank you for that answer. I wanted to switch over to speak about health insurance for a minute. About 11% of Floridians lack health insurance right now, which is well above the national average. And many people think that's almost entirely due to Florida leaders' refusal to expand Medicaid. Is it time to allow very, very low-income Floridians to buy policies in the healthcare marketplace? Should Congress make Medicaid expansion mandatory, or do you see other opportunities when it comes to health insurance and spending? And we'll start with Mr. Lee. Okay, so I've been looking at insurance policy and all the health insurance and stuff like that. Insurance gets sucker. It's getting worse every time. And especially Obamacare, I think it is a terrible plan. But we have to have more option, and insurance policy have to be more freelance that allows people to have opportunity to buy the insurance. And I have been looking at it very carefully too, because insurance is extremely important for everyone, because you don't want to send someone to the hospital and they don't have money to fix the problem they have, or it's been treat one person different than the other one. But Obamacare, it doesn't have anybody at all. It just like give you to an ER and then let you die, technically, because you don't have much option to go to a different doctor. Because right now, if I guarantee you, because I just talked to a few people, if they have a Obamacare or they have a Medicare, there are so many doctors doesn't take it, and that's not right, because all Americans should be treated fairly and equally the same. And they have so many options out there. The insurance and the Medicare have to be more levied for American, and they can be able to support the family, not with the problem we have right now, because there's so many middle class, they cannot afford for the insurance with the way it's set up. Because when Obama insurance is set now, there are middle class people unable to afford for the insurance. So it have to be reformed, and I will look into that, and I will have a better solution when I get into the office.
Thank you for that answer, Mr. Montague. What's your thought on this?
Quite frankly, the Affordable Care Act is disastrous, and it has been disastrous since the introduction of this from Obama's administration. What I will say is that we have to have a free market solution. That is what Republicans stand for, a free market solution, meaning that it allows for competition. We're a place that if you have an insurance rate and someone else have an insurance rate, allow people to shop around to see what is best for their family. It should not be a one-size-fit-all or a one-size-fit-none, where in the case that we're seeing right now, where most people have a deadline to have to file these paperwork to get insurance that's mandatory, and they're not getting the coverage. Even when I went to go seek out myself, and I'm like putting all the information in, the premium that was there was absolutely absurd. It was like, how can someone who, I've had people who do not get any pay. These are people that cannot work, and their premiums were almost $300-400. How does a person with no income have, you're able to pay $400 a month? So there's something seriously wrong. I do agree that there needs to be some form of reformation with this, and we need to make sure that as it is being reformed, that it is accounting for that there are insurance companies that should be able to feel like there is, like, if this person wants to choose and this person wants to choose, that's what free market is allowing competition. It's the same way where we wouldn't go in and make everybody go and eat at Burger King because we like Burger King. It would be, if you want to eat at Burger King, if you want to go down the street and eat at another burger place, that's great. And that's how the economy thrives, when we allow those opportunities, and we're not a dictatorship style of a country. So I believe that we have to get back to the foundation of free market when it comes to insurance.
What congressional action would you support on abortion access? Should Congress enact a national right to privacy and self-determination for health decisions? And we'll start with Mr. Montague.
Right now, the Supreme Court ruled that the states are responsible for the laws or legislation that goes into effect when it deals with abortion. I believe that as we're dealing with right now in the state of Florida, we do have Amendment 4 that is on the ballot for November, and that's where it is. I am 100% pro-life. I do not believe there needs to be any exception for abortion. I believe that we have many other options, such as foster adoption. I'm a person who works in and have worked with a young man who was a product of a rape, and his mother chose life, and he is thriving and doing what he needs to do. So I feel like what we need to realize at the end of the day, this is an issue that continues to come up over and over, and it should not be an issue when it deals with the life of the unborn. It should be just as simple as that. If I have an opportunity to live and to be up here running for Congress, I think that we should allow that for individuals who have not been born to have choices of their own. And so I don't support any measure per se that has not already been in place, which is the Supreme Court made a ruling. They passed it down to the state. The petitions were done. It is on the ballot in November, and I believe that the people of Florida will make that decision, but I believe they will make the decision for life. So that's my take.
Thank you. Mr. Lee?
Let me make it real quick. So it's already on the ballot for election, for the vote for this election already. So it's yes or no. It depends on the people who vote for this. But personally, I'm not support abortion because I don't think abortion is a solution. There's so many solutions that we can do, and on top of that, I love children. I love to work with children. I want to see the children growing up and an opportunity and things like that. So for me, abortion is a no-no. But let me tell you, let me give this message to the voter. Before you go to vote, think, very important. First, God. Second, it's the family. It's you, the woman. And third is the family. So what you think of the God about abortion, what you think of yourself as a woman, and what you think of your family before you vote. But for me, I'm not support abortion at all. And I'm staying for no abortion.
Immigration policies also provide a stark contrast, at least in the minds of the American people. Despite statistics showing that deportations have held steady and in some cases increased under Biden, Democrats have consistently been accused of being soft on immigration. What is your view on what should be done about immigration? We'll start with Mr. Lee.
Okay. Well, myself, I'm an immigrant here. I'm here immigrant too, so I'm still have accents. You know, my family immigrant here, and so many Asian and other like Haiti and other cultures they immigrant here. So I respect that. But we have to secure the border. Doesn't matter what. Every country have a border. We have a border too, and people have a door at the house. So why don't we have a border in our country? So I believe that we have to reform the immigrant because there's so many Hispanics or Haiti or other culture, other country. They are here and working hard and pay for the tax. I mean, they're working really hard, pay for the tax. And anytime they get into applying for be a U.S. citizen and become a part of American, it has been ignored and they don't look into it. But they're trying to take care of the people across our country. And when right now the big problem we have is not only Venezuela or Mexico across the borders. Now it's China, and I'm not talking about like just regular Chinese people. I'm talking about CCP, because even the Chinese people here, I talk with them. I mean, they don't like the CCP to be here. They left China because they want to be freedom and opportunity. They run away from communism. So I think secure the border is to stop the criminal, stop the human traffic. Stop all the drug dealer, and then stop the CCP. Now is a big deal, and the CCP is a big deal. So I think we have to secure and reform the immigrant and people. There are so many solutions. If I'm getting in office, there's so many solutions that we can bring people into this country legally, and they have to go through the system. It cannot just cross the border and illegal.
Thank you. Mr. Montague, same question.
I have traveled to the border. I went to the border. I'm going back in a couple of weeks. In that process, I watched and I saw the big gaping holes in the wall over on the Mexican border. I saw the wristbands that were used to as commodity for the trade of women and children to be able to get over from Mexico into the United States. So I've seen firsthand, not what the TV is showing you. I watched it, hearing the gunshots from the cartels that are coming over. I was there. We spent about 3 days over over in Mexico where the border is, and we saw it. We've seen how devastating it is. Now let me tell you, at the end of the day, what it boils down to is we have a border crisis. This border crisis goes all the way back to Obama with the cages that was then trying to be flipped onto the Republicans, that we built the cages, which was an absolute lie. We have to secure the border. We have American citizens. We have those that are here that have green cards that are doing things the right way. They're taking the process the right way. Why is it so difficult for anyone to understand that it is a process? It's a process to go get your license. It's a process for you to get a job. It's a process for you to get a child in school. It's a process to do anything in the United States of America that makes sense. And so coming into a whole nation by skipping through barbed wires and fences and gates and just coming in and declaring that you're asylum and I want to be here, something's happening to me, and just coming like that, it should not be. So we have to have secured borders, and we have to make sure once I get to DC that we're going to have a conversation about doing it the right way. But how do we do it so that everyone is safe, especially the kids, most importantly? Because I work in that. I see what happens with trafficking, and Florida is ranked number 3 among all states for human trafficking.
Thank you for that answer. I wanted to jump over to talk about climate change. A sizable majority of Americans now believe that we're already suffering the impacts of climate change, but there's been widespread opposition to the big measures that might address that, including restrictions on gas-powered vehicles, increased energy efficiency standards, and everything from manufacturing to home use. What mandates would you support when it comes to climate change? And I'll start with Mr. Montague.
I don't know about mandates, but I say that we need to utilize what we have. I think we have fossil fuel. We have the resources right here in America. I remember the saying used to go around, drill, baby, drill right here, instead of going. I think we need to be able to utilize the resources that we have in this beautiful country. And I think that this, it was alarming to me at the last debate or forum that we had with Congressman Maxwell Frost when it was asked what is the most pressing issue that is in the U.S. today, and his response was the climate crisis. That is not the most pressing issue in the U.S. today. It is not the most pressing issue for me. When someone had mentioned on my Twitter, it was like, listen, the sun getting hotter has nothing to do with the fact that I can't afford my groceries. And so I go back again to economic things. I foresee that we have to conserve. I've been part of organizations that are conservation organizations, conservative conservation organizations. We do want to conserve our planet. Absolutely, we want to have, a better, cleaner earth for our children. Absolutely. But to create a whole Green New Deal and things, it just seems like it's just another get rich quick scheme by the radical left. And I think that we need to really just we don't need to spend any more money on the things that is unnecessary. The Green New Deal is, to me, and anything that deals with this crisis is just another plot twist to make it look like Republicans are not concerned about conservation of our planet, and that's not true. I would love for our planet to be intact when our children grow up. So that's my take on it.
Thank you for that answer, Mr. Lee.
Well, my very first job when I get out from college is I'm a water and wastewater engineer. So I develop water and design water system across our country. I've been to all over the place, across our country. So water is the number one resource that we need to improve in our country right now, especially in Central Florida. There are so many cities in Central Florida that doesn't have a good water system. The water system we really need it. And some state that they even have water shortage. So before you get into anything, you have to take care of day-to-day living of the water resource that we have. The water system that we have is terrible right now. And if you look at like the city nearby, like Titusville, Cocoa, and and Daytona, I mean, they don't have a good water, including Orlando. We don't have a good water system. We have to have a better water system, and water resources become really shortage right now across the country. And on top of that, like people concerned about climate change and go for electric car, but let people know how the battery been made. Seriously. So why don't they have to look at like hydrogen car? They have to look at the ethanol engine, because that recycle and it doesn't give out any pollution. And then hydrogen car, it's cheap. And then in the meanwhile, the damage create a battery car is damaged more than the gasoline car. So we have to take care of our economic by restore the pipeline. And then we have to push all the auto industry to work on hydrogen car. And then local and state have to work on the water resource, because we don't have a good water resource here right now, today. That is need to be happening now. We cannot wait any longer.
Thank you for that answer. I've got the next question also. Along with climate change, we're seeing a dramatic increase in the violence and frequency and lethality of major weather events. And in states like Florida, that's already pushing home insurance rates sky high. Other states are now seeing a spike in natural disasters such as flooding and droughts and fires and earthquakes. Do you support a national catastrophic fund that would spread the risk of natural disasters across the entire nation? Mr. Lee, we'll start with you on that one.
Let me tell you, because people keep talking about climate change, but if you look at the back of the history, this has happened like 100 years ago. It's the same thing. Every 10 year, 15 year, there's a big hurricane is coming. It doesn't matter back to like 100 years ago. If you look back into the data, the big hurricane has happened. The big tornado has happened. There's it get hot every year is differently. So climate change is not the issue right now. The issue is we have to know what we have to do with our everyday living, not about focus on the same topic, because I don't like politics to take advantage of using climate change to be a topic for every debate. This is not something is about the politics thing to drag it in. We have to worry about what we have to improve in our water system, and the modern nature is happen. It doesn't matter what, because that is the cycle. It have to happen. And that's going back to 100 years when we don't have any machine, we don't have anything like that. Because if you look back in history, the thing is, disasters happen. So we have to worry what it need to be done today is we have to take care of our resources, our water, our food, our economic, our manufacture, our education, and everyday life. And I don't think is the climate change is a topic for politics take advantage of talking about it. You know, I can BS about it too, because I'm a water and wastewater guy. So I can just say whatever I want to, just, you know, just go with the flow. But it's not who I am. You know, what I'm trying to do is to make American better, to for everyday living. And we have to have a better water system, not on a climate that people make it up and try to be a pocket politician. So that should be dropped. You know, politicians take too much advantage of this. I mean, this needs to be the end.
Mr. Montague.
To the question, no, I do not believe there needs to be a national fund. I believe that there are resources, again, that are allocated to every state. If there is a dire emergency, like any hurricane, who do you hear that they call? FEMA. There are federal dollars that comes down to help in those cases. So do I believe that our local municipalities and our local state government, maybe, which I've seen now, they have got ahead of, especially here in Orange County, that they're already preparing. There's something that's about 7 days out. There's a disturbance on the water. They're already telling you to prepare. They're taking the necessary steps. When you look and you start filing your insurance claim, or you go in and something happens, or a tree falls, even if it's not hurricane season, they label it as an act of God. That is absolutely nothing that any human person can do anything about. And so I believe we can prepare ourselves, unlike tornadoes, which we can send sirens, hurricanes, it gives us a couple of weeks out in advance to get prepared. But to create a national fund, to me, it sounds like this is going to be another graph for us to put another a call in for tax dollars to be allocated somewhere that may not even ever get used across the nation, because every state does not have these catastrophic events like this. And so then who is it going to benefit? Who's going to be at the hem of it? Who's going to be responsible for the budget and what it's going to look like? So I don't think that we need that. I think we need to let that be in the hand of each state and municipality. I think they're doing a great job at it. And I think we just need to make sure that they're doing a better job at making sure that the people who live in those areas are well aware in advance so they can make plans for their families.
Thank you very much. We have covered a lot of ground. There is so many more questions we could ask you. I'm sure that you've gotten a lot of different ones at various forums. But we wanted to, in just a minute, give you a chance to sum up your candidacy for District 10. But first, I wanted to remind our readers that we will be making an endorsement in this race, that we urge you not to let that be the ending point for you. Both these candidates have a lot of information out there, especially on their own websites, social media, and then of course there will be other forums and the Sentinel's excellent coverage, which will be taking looks at this race through the general election. So we would just remind people that the most important thing is to make up your own mind about which of these candidates best represents your values, and then make sure you vote on or before August 20th in the Republican primary for House District 20. And with that, we are going to do closing statements. And I kind of used a randomizer to decide who would go first and who would go second. And Mr. Lee, you got the first spot. Thank you so much. Can you give us a summation of why people should vote for you?
Again, thank you for giving me an opportunity to be here with all of you today. And it's my honor to speak in front of American. And I am running for U.S. Congress in District 10. It's not about politics. It's not about my career. It's not about what I'm gonna do for myself. It's all for American. And I'm serving for our country right now, because I think this is a time that I stand up to fight for our country. This is a time that I will do something for our country, because I'm definitely not looking for a job. I'm looking for an opportunity to serve our country. And I'm running for Congress for innovation and solution. So my innovation solution is to reform immigrant, redo regulation, make it USA, pull US company out of China, affordable housing for senior, innovation in education, solution for cybersecurity, and term limit. And that's what I'm standing for. And I will fight for American to have a better economic in the next coming up years. Thank you so much.
Mr. Montague, will you wrap us up, please?
Yes, well, thank you also for this opportunity. I'll say this for those that are watching now and will watch in the future. politics to me it comes second nature because I got involved at a young age. But I really got involved because I recognize that our future generation matters. And as I mentioned, or it has been mentioned, that I run a nonprofit organization that works with young boys who range from any level of behaviors from ages 13 to 17. When I hear of their parents struggling with this, when I hear of the community, from the outreaches that we have done, to me pastoring for the last 20 years, to me working around Pine Hills and throughout Orange County, my service is to the people of District 10. I have put all my work into District 10. I have put all my time and my effort into District 10, and I believe wholeheartedly that this is just the next level for me. Some ask, why not something local? Why not something else? Because I believe that a lot of the things that happen that most people do not see that actually applies to our local level, it happens in DC. And I believe that I can be that voice for the voiceless. I believe that there are many people crying out from all walks of life, because I do not see this as just a Republican. We're in the primary, but I don't see this as just a Republican or Democrat battle. I see this as a battle of good versus evil, and for those that really want to do what is necessary to see a change. So teamwillie.com is my website. Look me up, send me a message. I'm always available to have that conversation because I want to win and for us to win together. Thank you for your time.
And can I take my remaining minutes, say tuanlee4congress.com?
Oh, okay, thank you. We have really enjoyed spending this time with you. We think you've given our readers and the people who watch this video some great points of comparison and agreement. So we thank you once again, and we wish you both the best of luck in August, on or before August 20th. Thank you.